We often talk about resilience as a single, heroic moment. But in 1951 Wisconsin, it looked a lot more like a cold, pitch-black kitchen at 5 in the morning. This was the daily reality for a boy who was only 13 years old. He was a student in the 8th grade, an older brother to 2 toddlers, and a resident of a rural farm that didn't stop for the weather. His life changed when his father left the farm to find work in the nearby cities. He would be gone for months at a time, leaving a massive gap in the household's daily operations. When a vacuum like that opens up, it doesn't come with instructions. A 13-year-old simply has to step into an adult's role because there is no one else to do the work. For this boy, that meant running the entire morning farm operation alone, finishing the chores before he even stepped onto the school bus. At that time, in that place, feeling motivated wasn't part of the conversation. The animals had to be tended to, and the only possible response was a rigid daily discipline. This timeline maps the window between the first chore and the bus's arrival. Waking up in the freezing dark, moving through the barn, and then cleaning up for school, all of it had to be finished before the sun was fully up. Resilience is found in that specific type of execution. It is the ability to complete a brutal routine regardless of how tired you are or how much you'd rather be asleep. The core of that morning routine was defined by a single number, 25. That is how many cows he had to milk every morning. In 1951, this meant hand milking. It was a slow, grueling process that required constant physical effort, draining the strength from his hands and arms before his first class even started. He spent his mornings in the cold of the barn, hauling heavy milk pails and managing large animals on his own. There were no shortcuts. This kind of solitary manual labor doesn't leave much room for excuses. When you're the only one in the barn, the only way the work gets done is through your own effort. The repetition of the work dictated the day. If the pails weren't filled, the farm simply didn't run. Because his mornings were so physically demanding, the boy developed a very specific habit. Instead of waiting at the bus stop with the other students, he stayed up at the house. He would watch for the bus from the window. The second it pulled up, he would burst out of the house and sprint full speed down the hill to catch it before it could leave. To anyone watching, it looked chaotic. Why put yourself through a frantic sprint every single morning instead of just walking down a few minutes early? For the boy, it was an economy of energy. When you have been working since 4 in the morning, 5 extra minutes sitting in a warm chair is worth more than 5 minutes standing by a frozen road. Every second of rest was a calculated choice. When you are carrying a burden no one else sees, maximizing your recovery becomes its own form of discipline. The bus driver didn't see it that way. He saw a kid being difficult, and he spent his mornings yelling at him, demanding he wait at the stop like everyone else. The driver only saw the sprint at the end of the morning. He had no context for the hours of labor that had already taken place in the barn. The boy didn't try to explain the cows or the pails. He simply told the driver that not everyone waited by the road, and he continued his routine. He prioritized those few minutes of recovery over the driver's opinion. He had a schedule to keep, and he kept it, even if it meant being misunderstood. After several months, the father finally returned from his work in the city. When he learned about the conflict with the bus driver, the father went to speak with him. He made sure the driver understood the situation, and the yelling finally stopped. With his father back, the boy's grueling morning countdown was finally suspended. For the first time in months, he was allowed to sleep past dawn. He woke up to his father slipping a watch onto his wrist, an analog piece with a gold-colored case and a brown leather strap. A watch is a significant gift for a boy whose life had been dictated by the clock. It was a tool for the very thing that had governed his months of solitary labor. By putting that watch on his wrist, the father was giving him a tool for the life he was already living. It was a way to measure the hours the boy had previously spent working in the dark. This story is about more than a farm in Wisconsin. It's about the universal need for the weight we carry in private to be recognized by the people we respect. Resilience is built in those lonely hours of work. But it is sustained by the moments where we realize that someone was actually watching